Thank you all so much for joining us for today's conversation. Today's connection experience is brought to you by Avanse Ansanm and the HistoryMiami Museum, and it's a part of the 10 Days of Connection, which is an initiative that encourages South Floridians to break down silos and engage in acts of connection, build empathy, and increase understanding, and to refocus on our shared humanity. And I'd like to thank the 10 Days of Connection for their amazing support throughout all of this, as well as our partners at the CubaOne Foundation and the National Association of the Bahamas. My name is Vanessa Navarro-Maza. I am the Folk Life Curator at the HistoryMiami Museum. HistoryMiami safeguards and shares Miami stories to foster learning, inspire a sense of place, and cultivate an engaged community. And I manage the museum's South Florida Folklife Center, which is the department that's dedicated to documenting, presenting, and supporting the region's traditional arts and cultural heritage. So the purpose of today's conversation is first and foremost to provide a space for people to listen to and share stories with one another as a way to build bridges of connection. And through our discussion, we hope to explore the experiences of the Afro-Caribbean diaspora. South Florida is often characterized by its diversity and its strong connections to the Caribbean. And within the local population of Caribbean descent, there are many diverse communities and varied historical roots and experiences. So during this discussion, we want to focus on how individuals claim and express Afro-Caribbean identities. And we also want to explore what it means to live in the hyphen with hyphenated identities, such as Afro-Puerto Rican or Puerto Rican American. So we hope you take this opportunity to celebrate your own culture and also learn about others. If you'd like to access the live closed captioning, you can click on more at the bottom of the screen and then click on show subtitle. And so today's program, we're going to start with a panel followed by a group discussion. So now I will hand it over to Bertha, who will provide the guiding principles for our conversation.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Vanessa. Again, I just want to welcome everyone. Thank you all for joining our call today. I sit on the board for Avanse Ansanm. Just to briefly introduce Avanse Ansanm, it is a movement for young Haitian singles, couples, and families to connect and be more engaged with one another in the South Florida Haitian community. It's a millennial-led movement geared towards strengthening the local Haitian community, as well as preserving culture and economic and political power. So we thought this was a great opportunity for us to obviously connect with other Caribbean groups. And so with that, I'm going to just go ahead and jump right into the guiding principles. So I'd like to thank all of our panelists for your willingness to share your perspective and knowledge with us today. And so with that, I'm just going to go over the few guiding principles for respectful conversation for today's discussion. So we just ask that you participate, be engaged, respect one another's ideas and comments, be open and honest with your communication, experiment with new ideas, or you can challenge already established assumptions. So there are times where you may need to step forward or step back. We ask that you do that respectfully and seek to understand, agree, or disagree. And so with that, we're just going to go ahead and jump right into the first. We're going to jump right into introductions and affiliations. I'm actually going to let the panel members introduce themselves and their affiliations. So we can go ahead and start with Gil. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. My name is Gilbert Crispin. I am a board member for Avanse Ansanm. I think I told some of you earlier. I'm also an HR specialist for the Broward County School Board, and I identify primarily as Haitian. I really should be identifying as Haitian American, but for some reason I've always identified as Haitian, and that has yet to change. Is that all we need, or should I say more?
That should be fine.
All right. Nice to meet everybody and see everyone. Thank you for having me.
Okay. Leandra, did you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Leandra Alley Dalsing. I use she and her pronouns, and I serve on the boards of Ruthless Broward, Broward Young Democrats, and I'm a sister district affiliate. And my family is from Trinidad and Tobago. I left when I was about 4 or 5, and I think I agree. It's the first time I've heard that, but I totally agree with Gil that I don't know how much I use the hyphenate. I'll always say I'm Trini more than saying Trini American, but I should, based on the accent.
Okay. All right. So we're now going to go ahead and move right into Yvonne and Yvette Rodriguez.
Yes. My name is Yvonne Rodriguez. I'm the owner of Tres Lindas Cubana Cigars, based in Miami. We're Cuban American. I consider myself Black Cuban. You know, living the dream, living the struggle, taking it all in.
Hi, I'm Yvette Rodriguez, her sister. Super happy to be on this panel. This is like amazing, groundbreaking, historical. And I'm also identify as Cuban American, Black, and I'm also a business owner along with my sister, a cigar brand, Tres Lindas Cubana Cigars. I speak Spanish and English. Spanglish, rather. I don't speak Spanish and English, I speak Spanglish. Not good in neither one. And I also am one of the founders of the Afro-Latino Professionals here in Miami. And, you know, just building up a community. Thanks for having me.
Thank you guys for joining us. And I'm going to go ahead and let Mr. Earl Miller go ahead and introduce himself. He's the last panel member.
Why Mr. Earl Miller? Why I can't just be Earl Miller? Or Mr. Miller is my daddy. Well, thanks for having me. I'm like two of the other panelists. I identify as Bahamian because I wasn't like born here. I came here after college, but I lived here more than I lived in the Bahamas because I left after high school, and so I've been here some 42 years. So I've been in the U.S. more than I've been in the Bahamas. And like the other lady said, loving it. I have the option of having this side and being so close to home. Don't get homesick because I work for the Bahamas Tourist Office, and we had about 35 members of Bahamians in that office. And so I didn't miss the culture, I didn't miss the food. And then, you know, you could always go home in 30 minutes. I could be in Nassau. But, you know, since we arrived, then we started I'm the founder of the National Association of the Bahamas. And we started that organization simply to be in place to assist Bahamians and Bahamians' descendants in times of need, like hurricanes. We have tons of Bahamians coming over for cancer treatment and don't have monies to stay for the term limits they need. So we'll find places for them, put them up, you know, buy them groceries, whatever is needed, adopt homes back, young folks' homes or old folks' home in the Bahamas and assist them. And since the hurricane, you know, we've been assisting with building houses, paying school fees for the college kids. So we hope parents lost their jobs. So we're on the ground and we're working 24/7. So
okay, that's great.
Thank you.
Okay. Again, thank you all once again for joining us. We're going to go ahead and move right into the panel discussion. So the first question, or first topic we'd like to address is, as far as Afro-Caribbean identities, what do you think are some of the similarities, as well as what do you think are some of the differences?
Well, if I would start it off, I think Caribbean folks, all of us have, well, we have a slang to start with, and we say some things, like I heard one of the ladies said, she said something that we use in the Bahamas, I can't remember what it was, but we say similar things, like, you know, a lot of us say, hey man, you know, things of that nature. We have differences in foods, of course, but again, the way we cook, we season our food more than I would say the Americans do, things of that nature. And we are happy, lucky go people. We are fun-loving people. We like to have fun. We like to dance. We like to drink. We just like to have fun. We like to party. But then we could get serious. We could also get serious too. And I think that's part of it. And I think as this panel, we have to start coming together as one Caribbean, and not the Bahamas, not Jamaica, not whatever, just one Caribbean, and do things as one. That's yeah. But I'm sorry, everybody's gonna have some similarities and some differences.
I agree. As far as like the way that I grew up, my neighbors, my best friend was from, St. Lucia, which is not necessarily the Caribbean, but I grew up with Haitians, Jamaicans, Bahamian, like all over, really. And there are a lot of similarities. It's so funny because everybody thinks that they're so different from each other, But I think that especially what we all relate to is that it's like we are from the Caribbean, they're not like American, you know what I mean? So that it's almost like, I don't think it's in a negative way, but there's clearly like, even though like we're, we may all be Black, it's like, yeah, but we're not, like African American, supposedly, So that's something that I've noticed, growing up with all the different cultures, that's a similarity that we all kind of have.
I would agree. The two, Earl and Yvette, I was thinking the same thing, is that I think when you're on the island itself, you're so focused more on the difference. Like you'll be like, oh, well, my curry goat is better than yours, or my, whatever, my fried fish is better, whatever it is. But here we really have an opportunity to focus on similarities because it's what really bonds us in, I would say, almost an antagonistic, what can be a very antagonistic feeling of America. And it's kind of, I think, nice to know. I know with my friends I still have to today in high school, one of the main things that we bonded over was getting beat as a child. Like we didn't feel anyhow about it. Like it's fine. We probably wouldn't do it now. But it didn't bother us. Whereas like it was a massive no-no for a lot of the other American kids. Like they would never. It was considered like social services, which like my parents would be like, I wish you would call social services and see what happens. Like, so that's just something that we like bonded over, an understanding of we're kind of this in between and we're going to bond over that.
I think one of the similarities that I can probably say that's always shown up for me is how you present. Among the Caribbean population, how you present and how you represent your family is this kind of never-ending theme that you often hear about. You can't go out of the house looking like just Black because you're representing your family. Exactly. You can't do X, Y, Z because you got to keep in mind your family. So I think that representation and that kind of shame also, right? Not necessarily even tied to you, but shame for anyone who knows you, that they might have, that this might have, some kind of, this might contribute to the outlook that this deals with your parent or your grandparent or something like that. So I think how we present and our ties to family is very much a similarity throughout the Caribbean.
I completely agree. When it comes to, I think that the Caribbean, we have salt water in our veins and we have salt water, on our tongue, that we are the waves, but that is something, we're sing-songy, but we have that in business, we have that in friendships, we have that in relationships, that it's, as far as the Caribbean wide, that, that we're considered as fiery and festive, and those are positive things, that our countries also are considered, everybody hates the Cubans. I get it. But let me in. We're the Black Cubans. No, but I really do think that we have a lot of similarities, and I could easily eat in and out of our cultural differences. We eat the whole fish. We eat fried fish, the whole fish. I don't know how to fillet a fish, I think that we have a lot of similarities, more than we would like to admit.
Okay. And I definitely agree with I can't remember his name. He was saying about when you leave the house, because you're representing your family. And the old saying when the parents used to tell us, make sure you have on clean underwear, because if you get in an accident, you got to go to the hospital and those sort of things. And like in the Bahamas, if a child go over there and get in trouble and it's reported on the news, they normally don't say the child's name. They always say the son of da-da-da. So the parents and everybody's just, they didn't do anything wrong, but they're highlighting the parents more than the child that did the crime. So yeah, you definitely have to represent when you're doing, because I remember in college, when I was in college, weekend come, nobody had no money, and we want to have a little party, and some of the guys go down to 7-Eleven and they'll steal wine and stuff, and they say, Earl, are you going? No. I can't do that, brother. I can't call my parents and tell them I'm locked up for stealing no wine. Bring the wine back and I'll drink some, but I'm not going down to the store to steal no wine, because I cannot bring shame to my parents. I just couldn't do it, But I think, and I think, all Caribbean people are proud of their heritage, very proud. Like I know sometimes you'll say, yeah, accent, and if you don't quite get it, and you might say, are you Jamaican? And if they're not Jamaican, they're looking at you, I'm Trini, I'm not Jamaican, and I'm not Haitian, or I'm Haitian, I'm not this, so they're proud of their heritage, and you should be. And I always say, if you're born there, you were born there, and that's just the way it is. That's where God put you, and you should be proud of it, and be proud to promote it, Like I said, we got a lot of similarities, but we have a few differences, because I know sometimes we're talking about fruits, and I think it's Cubans, they call it Spanish limes, we call it canapes. Okay, it's the same thing, but we eat the same fruits, but we have different names for it. So,
right.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you all for the feedback. Just to highlight some of the similarities we talked about was slang, seasoning our food. It's seasoning our food more than Americans could be similarity, but it also puts us, or we stand apart from Americans in that sense. We're also fun yet serious people, and we also have, I think we all have this experience of, yes, we're Black in America, but we may not necessarily identify as African American. I think that is something that a lot of folks of Caribbean descent, that's a similarity that we particularly have. So Leandra also, that was, but Leandra also highlighted the in-between. So that's the in-between that Leandra was speaking of. And Gil also mentioned the way we presenting ourselves in a way that would obviously represent our families, that our folks would be proud of us. And so moving right along to the hyphenated identities. So what does it mean to be in the middle? We talked about the in-between, the hyphen. So what does it mean to be in the middle?
I think, from my upbringing, like I said, that I was raised outside of the home. I was just Black, you know what I mean? And inside of the home, it was just all Cuban. And for me, it was, I never thought about it as hyphenated, but it definitely was. But it wasn't like, I never ended up choosing, okay, I'm gonna be more this or more that. It was just like I completely blended, R&B, hip hop, salsa, everything blended, except for maybe the food. But then again, I didn't eat mac and cheese till I was in college. You know what I mean? So then I ate what they fed me. But at least for the most part, it was like that. And it wasn't in my neighborhood or growing up or whatever. I'm from Miami. Okay, I'm from Miami. They would always ask me, "What are you?" Because when I open up, when I start talking, I always have an accent. I never thought I did. But they're always like, "What are you?" And that was just a common, question that I would always get. What are you? What are you? What are you? And it's like, no, I'm, Cuban. And then I actually didn't start saying that I was I had to start breaking it down. No, my parents are Cuban. I was born in the United States in college because they thought that I was like an exchange student, or, you know, that I was going to college from, you know, from Cuba. So then that's when I started adopting that term more, you know. But for me, it was like the best. Like, you know, with, you know, African American culture, I loved it, you know, and obviously Cuban culture, you know, if I loved it also, but if I didn't love it, I didn't have a choice.
Okay.
Okay.
I guess I'll stack it. I thought Earl was going to chime in. Being in the middle, I guess for me now, you know, being married to an African American woman, I feel more in the middle than I did before, because there's this kind of blending and sharing of cultures that I didn't necessarily have to really do or consider prior. Obviously, when you're in a country, for me, I came to the States. I moved back to the States when I was 15, after having lived in Haiti probably for maybe 8 or 9 or 10 years. So it was culture shock. So I don't think probably until maybe late in high school, early college, did I kind of feel myself shifting more toward the middle. But because it was a very traumatizing experience for me, leaving Haiti and coming back to the States in terms of, you know, how the Haitian community was received at the time, I didn't want to be in the middle. I always wanted to be Haitian exclusively because it was just so difficult. I never really felt American. I never even felt accepted as American. Probably, again, like I said, not until late high school and maybe college. But by that time I had, you know, I was fully formulating my own thoughts and ideas of who I wanted to be. But it was a very difficult experience. So I think the middle question is a good one. But I think I chose kind of not to be in the middle because of my experience. I grew up in Miami. When I came back to the States, I went to Miami High. So I went to a predominantly Cuban high school in Little Havana. And there, interestingly enough, it felt a bit easier because you had an island nation, a large amount of people from an island nation that you could relate to, that you could connect with and had similar experiences. So I don't know that the middle was something natural. I think it was more of a choice not to be. And now being married, I'm trying to morph more into the middle because you want to consider someone else. That'd be my
Well, I don't know if I could lend too much to it, like his situation, which is perfect, and then the Cuban lady who spoke is perfect. We have both sides.
What happened?
I didn't come. I came to America. Well, when I say came to America, started living in America.
Okay. Thank you. Go ahead, Earl.
Oh, yeah. I was saying for me, then I didn't have to choose because I used to come over in the summers and live with my family, in the American family over here, and then they used to come to the Bahamas over there. So I was immersed in the American culture and of course my own. So when I physically came over for college, I went to Savannah, of course, there were no other Bahamians there. And so as soon as I opened my mouth in class, then everybody wanted to know where I was from, and they wanted me to get up in front of class and speak, and you know, and all that. Then another Bahamian came, but so I'm totally Bahamian, okay? But I love the Cuban culture. I love Haitian culture. I like the food. I like the dance. I like it because it's Caribbean. It's me. It's just a different island. That's all it is. So I've been to all of the islands, all of them, and I'm a traveler. So I want to go to everywhere. I want to travel the world. I want to meet every type of people. Like, you know, I always get angry with some of my friends who travel with me. You know, we go somewhere and just like we went to France. Hey, you want to go to Burger King? No, you're in France, man. We're not going to no Burger King. We can eat whatever their food is. We're gonna try. At least we're gonna try it. You know, you might like it, but you're gonna try it. And that's what it's all about. If you're gonna go someplace, you want to experience that culture, what they eat, their dance, their music, the whole 9 yards. And that's the only way we could mesh together experiences, like we're talking now. Because sometimes you have this perceived notions in your mind what this person might be or what that person might be, and when you get there and be like, wow, it's just like what we do. It's just the same thing. There's no difference, you know. But so I'm totally Bahamian. I don't have to choose.
Beautifully said, and I feel the same way. Now, let me tell you that I am completely comfortable in the middle. I'm completely comfortable in the middle, but I feel that society makes me choose, you know?
Yeah.
So then they tell me, you know, if I'm amongst Black Americans, they make me choose, you know, or they want to understand me more. They don't get that I could live in two worlds or in two cultures, right. You know? Or if I'm amongst Cubans, you know, if I don't know the latest song, it's like they, you know, I'm kicked out of the house, out of the family party, you know? But as far as for myself, you know, not that it is what it is, but I think that I have a lot more, as far as this, living in the middle, that it gives me a lot more movement amongst cultures, you know. I'm highly fluent in Cuban culture, and I'm also highly comfortable and fluent in Black American culture also. And like I said, for me, I feel it's a delight, but I feel that it's society that always is asking me to choose, always, you know. If I don't know what grits are, I just figured out what grits are the other day, you know. You know, that you know, it's frowned upon, but I'm learning too. I'm learning.
Yeah. Okay, Gil and Yvette, did you guys have anything to add? Leandra, did you have anything else to add?
I think there's something that Nancy wrote here in the chat about growing up, her family would always imply she wasn't Haitian, that she was American, then her American friends would call her Haitian. And that's something I definitely can relate to for sure. There's the idea, I think, that my parents definitely bought into from Trinidad, which is that the idea of the dream and that it was somehow equally distributed. I don't think that's really understood if you're outside. So they kind of came here under the understanding that this dream applies to all of us, until you have to have those really hard conversations as a teenager with your children and say, you know, you need to figure out how we're going to move. Getting places, but it's always really funny that my brother and I would be like, you brought us here and yet you're making fun of our accents. I don't understand. It'd be like, there's like just such an in-between. And I do think I think Earl said it, or that it's often so much placed on you. It's kind of like the perception of who you are. And I had this, like, I'm multiracial, so it's kind of understanding where do you fit in. I think it's always trying to prove, yeah, I belong here. I may not like have all of these features, or I may not have all of this understanding, but I mean, I get it to a sense. And I think, like, how can we grow and move forward from those things? And I always wondered if we did, like, the older that I'm getting, the more I feel like we can't always separate ourselves from Black Americans, because I think there's like a danger in that. Like, there's almost like coming here, we were like, okay, we're different. We're in this silo. We have this, we come from countries where, like, right now Trinidad has a dark-skinned Black man as prime minister, and that's not a novelty, right? And so we're growing up in a place where we see that we have access to power. But coming here, we come with this idea and then feel, I think, a sense of superiority sometimes. And that can be dangerous to Black Americans in their struggle. Like, I think that we really have to be conscious of making sure that we are, like, having some sort of unity as well. Like, even though, like, it's not Caribbean or American, like, we have to really be strong on that.
To add, Bertha, I think you asked me if I wanted to add anything. Am I correct, or am I speaking out of turn?
Yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to highlight one thing. Someone said, Jean-Jacques, in the chat. She said something that was really powerful. She said, I always used to feel unclaimed. And like, I think that spoke to kind of maybe Nancy's point also in the chat, you know, where you're kind of tipping the line, you know, you're not Haitian enough, or you're not Caribbean enough, or you're not American enough. I think the one thing that is, I guess, scary about the hyphenated space is that the longer you're in your new country, whatever you're calling home, the further away from your heritage that you can potentially get. Not purposely, you might still keep the language, you might still keep the foods and the traditions, but there's something about not immediately being there permanently, right? The visitations are amazing, but there's something about not being there permanently that pulls you away from that space. And I think someone said it earlier, kind of you're forced to choose. And I think Leandra makes a great point, because when you're in this country, to some degree, I mean, I'll speak for myself, I'm Black first. You know, people don't recognize me or see me as Haitian first. I'm Black first. I'm Haitian, and then, you know, I'm Haitian American. So there's a whole, you know, there's a whole identity crisis that happens when you leave your home and you're now in a new land. So I just wanted to add.
Okay. Thank you all for your feedback. This panel has been a great session. I think we covered a lot of things, but although we didn't get to address all of the questions, but there will be further discussion in the breakout sessions. So we're actually going to go ahead and move forward with the next item on the agenda, and that is the breakout session. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Vanessa.
Yes. So let me make sure I'm unmuted. Yes. So I just wanted to say also, for anybody who joined us a little bit later, if you missed the first half of the panel, we are recording this, so you'll be able to see what you missed. But now, over the next 30 minutes, you'll have a chance to connect and share your own experiences with each other. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna organize you into breakout groups, and each group is gonna have a facilitator. And I wanted to quickly thank our facilitators for being here, Bertha Pardue, Sheree Cancio, Catherine Leva, Nancy Mateer, Nora Emanuel, and our event organizer, Sandra Dennis. So your facilitators will guide the conversation, and they'll lead you into discussing 3 questions. Basically, these topics we've kind of explored through the panel, but you'll have a chance to answer these on your own. So we'll have 10 minutes to explore each question as a group. So please just be mindful of the time. And then we'll be switching up the breakout groups for each question to give you a chance to connect with different people throughout the event. And then after we're done, we will bring everybody back together to debrief as a group. And we want to thank you in advance for your patience if we run into any technical hiccups. For a lot of us, this is the first time experimenting with these breakout groups. So yes, just thanks. So let's go ahead and get started.
Sure, I'm going to do my best. I'm back and I am the host. Let's do it. 1 second.
I'm having fun.
You're doing great.
Okay. I think, wait. Okay, keep talking. Vanessa, give me 1 second.
Oh.
That's a sign.
Okay. Well, let's see if there's anything that anybody said in the chat or anything else you guys want to talk about while we wait. Let's see here.
I'd love to add something.
Go for it.
I thought it was so beautiful how Earl said that when he goes to another Caribbean island, that it's like the same thing as home, but literally just like a different experience in a different Caribbean island. You know, traveling as a young kid, I felt that specifically about the Caribbean. And then as I started traveling like other places around the world, I'm like, man, this is all the same. Like, this is beautiful, you know? So I thought that was awesome, Earl.
Thank you.
If possible, Vanessa, can everyone, if they feel comfortable, sharing maybe a bit of their heritage in the chat, if they feel comfortable?
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Hey, girl.
Love you.
Hi, everyone. Nancy Mateer, and I identify as Haitian American.
And also, really quick, I know that if you don't speak English and you want to speak your native language, feel free to do that too.
We have a really fantastic mix of backgrounds here. This is really great. Like looking at the chat, it's wonderful.
It's the United Nations of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Danny, I don't know. Danny said she refers to herself as Chicanx.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually very curious about that because I've gotten into Vida and I'm just dying over it. So I just want to say it's so amazing. And I was using the term Chicanx, but I wasn't sure if it was appropriate. So thank you for shedding some light there.
We're back. We're back.
Yay!
It worked.
Your participation.
Here we go.
Okay, round 2.
That transition was rough.
Cut our time. It was not 10 minutes.
It was 10 minutes. We didn't cut time. We're going to go right into the second round. I want to admit that there's supposed to be 6 rooms and there was 5. So that's what happened with you, Nora. But if you're good, we're going to do a little switching up. That's fine? Perfect. Give me 1 minute.
What happened to Caribbean time?
Thank you. I appreciate that.
They're prompt.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on here. This is not what I'm used to.
This is where we're leaning more towards the hyphen on the end part of the hyphen. So that American time.
Okay.
That's what we're doing today.
Oh my God, how funny. I'm having such a good time with you guys. Real.
Me too. I'm having, this is the best.
We gotta do it again. We gotta.
Okay. So we left off in my breakout group with some of the positives. Well, we kind of deviated from the initial question, like what were some of the positive and challenges with living in both identities. And so I think for me, similar to Miss Yvonne, where it was, when we were in the home, we were Haitian, you know, like we couldn't speak English in the house. And I was big on making sure that we were preserving the culture. So everything in the house was Haitian. I didn't know I was American until I got to like kindergarten, you know, and that's when I started speaking English. But it was, I would say like, when I was in high school, it was at that point that I realized that, you know what, I might be a little bit of both. And that's when I really started identifying with both cultures. But mainly before that, I really just identified as Haitian, just so happened to be in America. So I would say some of the positives, obviously, is being able to explore and being a part of both cultures, being able to take what you want, and then maybe leave the things that don't necessarily work that great, you know? So for me, I think that's one of the main things that I like seeing the strengths of both cultures, but also being able to identify some of the weaknesses and how one culture navigates those weaknesses versus the other. Mm-hmm. So that's what I like. And then, so some of the challenges again, I think I'm
gonna pause you, Bertha. We're gonna go into the rooms. Bertha's my friend, so she's not gonna take it offensive. We're gonna go into the rooms. We're ready. Round 2. Go.
Okay.
Oh, beautiful.
This is awesome. This is good.
This is so beautiful. Okay, so we want to do a time check. Where's Vanessa? Oh, there's Vanessa. We want to do a time check because we told you all that we will let you all out by 7:15. Are we going to do it Caribbean style and go an additional 15 minutes, or do we have a hard stop at?
We only have 8 minutes left. No
hard stop. No hard stop.
I vote Caribbean ending.
Right. So
I'm good with time.
I don't want to hold anyone hostage. If anyone needs to go, feel free to sign out. But we're going to do the third round and then try to definitely get us out before 7:30. Is everyone feeling good? Having a good time?
Definitely.
Nancy Saint
Did you talk
Leger.
about?
This has been a blast. Let's do it.
She's an amazing dancer, but we'll talk later. So we're going to go into round 3, and you're gonna talk for a little bit as I shuffle folks up. Sound good? Take it away, Vanessa.
Is there anything that anybody was talking about in their last group that they maybe got cut off or anything like that that you want to share?
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Remember
I just wanted to share this book. It's really about what we've been talking about. It's called Make Your Home Among Strangers. It's about an experience of an a Caribbean American individual from Miami and how she's trying to deal with her different identities when she goes off to college and etc. So I just put the name in the chat for the folks in my group.
Thank you.
What's the name of the book? Tell me again the name of the book. Okay, put it in the chat.
Yes, I put it in the chat. Yeah.
Francesca, please look at the message because I'm trying to get an understanding about the heritage. Sorry.
Oh, I tried responding, but we got cut off into our opposite group. Sorry. So everybody in my
responded to that. Okay.
Okay.
And I don't know, Yvonne was saying something really interesting. I don't know if she'd be willing to share now. I don't know how much time there is.
Yes, of course. But I'll continue that. I was asked as far as within the Cuban community that, that there's, as far as what everybody sees is just the white Cuban, and the black Cuban that we've always been here also. But, as far as we've never been, that one of my main saying is don't sell your cruise me. That they always, they've only seen one black Cuban. They've only seen one black Cuban. And all dance and we sing and we're entertainment, amongst Cubans. That's what's messed up, that even amongst Cubans here in the States, that is as if I have to prove that I am Cuban, as if they are the ones that I must prove to them what town my parents came from, to be a valid, I guess, Cuban.
That's crazy.
With that said, I do take the responsibility as far as being I do have a responsibility as being part of the Black Cuban delegation. I do, it's a forced responsibility which I will willingly take on. I've been taking it on all my life, so this is nothing new to me. So I do have a responsibility as far as how I communicate, which is however I feel like it, which is how I, there is no rule book, but I know that I am enough. I am educated. I look super good, better than my sister, my twin sister. I am.
You're great, girl.
Okay.
I consider myself a very well-rounded person, so I am a great representative for the Black Cubans and the white Cubans alike. For the majority, whenever I walk into a room and it's full of white Cubans, they are quick to throw the questioning. They're quick. They God forgive me, they're very predictable. There is no way that I could walk in somewhere and they not always question me, which I'm used to, and I will, with no issues, continue to school them. Just like I school everybody on a regular basis. But not even in an aggressive manner, but just by watching me, you will learn. I don't have to prove. But I do think that in general, Blacks in general from any country, we are always scrutinized and we are always watched. So keep watching. We are the gift. We are the gift.
So we're ready. We're gonna go into round 3. This is our final round. When we come back, we'll debrief and talk about how we can stay connected as this beautiful family. Ready? Round 3.
Martial arts is self-defense, and it was mainly due to them preparing to somewhat, I guess, start a revolt.
We're here. That one ended a few seconds earlier.
I couldn't even end my session. It just ended.
That is actually true.
You
stole us from our sessions.
Yvonne was going in a really great topic, but
I was getting ready to travel to the Bahamas.
Yeah, we were on a cruise.
Literally. my God.
Read the chat. There's some really great responses in the chats too from people.
What was that 10 first? I couldn't get into it, but there was a conversation about the first 10 or something.
Yeah.
Oh,
It
no,
was an accident. I
yeah.
meant to write first generation.
First, we're going to
Where's Vanessa?
because we are a little bit over time already. So I want to kind of do a brief debrief, and then we'll talk about what we're encouraging people to do to move this forward and take it beyond just this experience. Y'all are so beautiful. This is really what the world looks like and how we should be. And so we want to start by actually thanking Vanessa, my co-lead, History Miami Museum, Leva, Nikki, who are leading this 10 Days of Connection experience for all of us, for bringing us all together to have this wonderful experience together. I was talking about this in one of our groups. I tell folks that folks from the Caribbean, we're the lovers of rum. And if nothing else brings us together, rum will. I see.
I got the Savannah Club up in here.
So for sure, when this is
Straight
all
from the
done,
islands.
we'll come together around rum to celebrate one another. There are a few opportunities for us to actually be able to learn from each other's culture, and also to make sure that we're taking advantage of what Miami actually is. And so I want to shout out a few organizations that you can connect to and some experiences that you can continue to be a part of. So there's a CubaOne Foundation that's on this webinar with us that you all can connect with. There's the Black Professionals Network, Caribbean Law Association. There are the consulate offices. There's Sounds of Little Haiti, Viernes Culturales. Sounds of Little Haiti is the third Friday of every month in Little Haiti. Viernes Culturales, I believe, is the second Friday. So what you can do is just plan out all your Fridays to be in a different community, and we can have a good time. And on the first Friday of the month, I know there's First Fridays in Overtown. And so there are opportunities to learn about different cultures, eat different foods from different cultures, dance to other cultures' music. We definitely want to make sure that we're seeing not only this happen on webinars, but we can see this in real life as well. I'm going to turn it around to Vanessa to talk about some next steps as well.
There we go. Am I good?
You're good.
Okay. Thank you all so much for being a part of this conversation, for being open, for sharing your perspectives and sharing your stories. I thought this was amazing. I hope that it was enriching for all of you. I want to thank Santra and Avanse Ansanm for co-hosting this event. And also to the 10 Days of Connection for making this even possible and having the vision to organize events like this. Our partners at the CubaOne Foundation and the National Association of the Bahamas, thank you so much. And to our facilitators. So we'd like to encourage you all to document your story through another 10 Days of Connection experience, which is called the Share Your Story Initiative. So we're inviting South Floridians to share a story about a meaningful item that reflects an aspect of your cultural identity, and then to come together to build a community-created online exhibit. So whether you want to do this on your own or with your family, your loved ones, you can submit a video describing why this particular object or set of objects expresses your cultural heritage. And we encourage you to submit these stories in any language that you feel comfortable. And we'll be accepting the submissions from May 1st through May 10th. So you can submit your story through the 10 Days of Connection page. I'm actually going to add the link in the chat here, but you can find it on the calendar as well. It's the Share Your Story event. And then we'd also like to encourage you all to please fill out the survey that we'll be sending out. And this will help us gauge the success and the impact of today's event. And I'll also go ahead and put that in the chat. So that's it. That's it for me.
Thank you. We have about 3 minutes before we said we'll end at 7:30 on Caribbean time. Any last thoughts? I know there's been a lot going on in the chat. You all made this so fun. We had an amazing time. Nancy has her rum. Remember, when you drink rum, think of us. Think of how we look, how beautiful we are, and how much better we can be when we're together with our similarities and not necessarily focusing on our differences.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like a good wrap up?
Beautiful.
Y'all are amazing. So hold on, let's take a group picture and then we'll wrap it up. Say cheese. Got it. Well, we'll send the first part of the panel to everyone and we'll follow up with the survey. Please,
Does Vanessa hear me?
as well as please send the video for the 10 days of connection. And Vanessa Navarro can definitely help you if you have any questions about the video. But we would like everyone to do a video as well.
I do have a quick request. I would love to stay connected with folks who I met throughout the breakout session. So if there's any way that we could exchange contact information, we'll love that to happen.
So really quick, does anyone not want their information shared? If you can do a thumbs down, if it's okay, then I'll share everyone's information so people can get it. And that'll just be your email.
That would be wonderful. That'd be great.
Perfect.
Good. Vanessa, how many more time we have? We got a minute? We got another minute? We should get together after this COVID-19, all of us.
Yes,
have some rum, and we should be traveling to each one of these islands and seeing it through that particular person who lives in that island. You could come to the Bahamas first, I'll host.
Yes,
and Puerto Rico and Cuba. Yeah.
Done.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Well, have a good one.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you so much.
All right.